All right. Welcome everybody. Welcome in. My name is Tara, and today we are talking diabetes, okay? And in particular, we're talking about type 1 diabetes. This is going to be a very important class that we have today. This is kind of like a pre-class. The actual class is going to start at 6 p.m. So let me see. I didn't put the link in my bio. Let me put it right here. Let me see, register for tonight's class, link in bio. All right, so y'all gonna register for the class tonight. Matter of fact, nah, we're not doing that one. I want y'all to text, register for class tonight. Because when y'all text and I send out those notifications reminding y'all come, y'all remember. And I always appreciate a text before a class too, just to remind me. Okay, there we go. Let me pin this down here. If you're on YouTube, it's in the description of the video. I did it before we got started. All right, so let's talk type 1 diabetes, okay? So in today's discussion, we are going to discuss what is type 1 diabetes, okay? What makes it an autoimmune disease, and what triggers that autoimmune response, and the regeneration of the pancreas, because you know that type 1 diabetes is a problem that's in the pancreas. The pancreas is not regulating, producing insulin properly, okay? Or the cells are not uptaking the insulin, uptaking the glucose properly from the insulin. So I'm gonna break this whole thing down for you today. So if you have type 1 diabetes, or if you have a loved one who has type 1 diabetes, or if you like learning health information that's very detailed, then stick around. This presentation will probably be about 30 minutes long. And then we're gonna jump straight into our class right when we're done, okay? So let's go. Got my notes here, okay? So first of all, before we get started, just 1 minute, let me remind you to go and get tested. If you have HSV, you need to go and get tested if you are planning to start my HSV herpes detox, okay? There's a link in the bio that is a discounted link for you to get your testing done in a very discreet way. You fill out the information online and you show up and just get tested. Just take the test. You don't have to worry about giving any personal information while you're at your appointment, because you've taken care of all of that online. And also, it's not an STD clinic. It's a clinic for like blood testing and drug testing and different things like that. So no one will know what you're there for. Okay, so make sure you're getting tested for herpes and then retest every 30 days. Okay, that link is in my bio under herpes IgG testing. Okay, all right, so let's get started. So type 1 and type 2 diabetes are two different forms of diabetes, which causes high blood sugar levels. Both of them cause high blood sugar levels, but they're both different. So while both conditions affect the way you regulate glucose, they have distinct causes and require different treatment approaches. So here's the key differences between type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Okay, so first of all, let's just get it clear the air. They say you cannot reverse type 1 diabetes, okay? Modern medicine, everyone out there says that type 1 diabetes, because it's autoimmune, you cannot reverse it. But today I'm going to show you how you can reverse it. This is all through verified research data. And I was trying to figure out how there was someone who got helped whose type 1 diabetes was helped on my detox. And I had to go and dig and find out how did that happen and why did that happen. And that's what this research is going to be about here today. Okay. So first of all, let's talk a little surface level just to catch everybody up to speed so that you know what it is and how it works, because that's important. People say it's an autoimmune disease, but they don't know what makes it an autoimmune disease and like what is it actually doing to be an autoimmune disease, and what is autoimmune disease. Okay, we know that's when our immune system attacks our healthy cells, but how does this happen to cause type 1 diabetes, which primarily affects children? So let's see. All right. I covered that. Okay, so onset. So type 1 diabetes often develops in childhood or adolescence, although it can occur at any age. Type 2 diabetes typically develops in adulthood, but is increasingly becoming diagnosed in children and adolescents due to rising obesity rates. So from feeding our children bad food, crap food, overfeeding our children, stuffing them. That right there is causing children to now get type 2 diabetes. But remember, we're focusing on type 1. So type 1 affects about 5 to 10% of everyone who's diagnosed with diabetes. So it's the more rare form of diabetes. But I wanted to cover this because I saw Dash experiencing an episode with type 1 diabetes, and everybody's he's like, oh, there's nothing you can do about it. But I'm about to show y'all there's totally something that you can do about it, okay? Over the course of about 6 months or so. Okay, so insulin replacement therapy is essential for people with type 1 diabetes. Blood sugar monitoring, carbohydrate counting, and lifestyle modifications is also crucial. That's for type 1. Now, for type 2 diabetes, lifestyle changes, including a healthy diet, regular exercises, weight management, and oral medication may be recommended, but it's not necessary if you're on Chera's Detox. As far as the medication goes, everything else you will still be doing on Chera's Detox. Okay. Let's see. Type 1 diabetes is characterized by the destruction of insulin-producing beta cells in the pancreas. Okay, that's where it comes from. The destruction of the cells in the pancreas that produces insulin, and it's called beta cells. It's going to be important for you to remember that while we're doing the presentation. So this destruction is caused by an autoimmune response where the body's immune system mistakenly identifies these cells as foreign and attacks them. Okay. So in individuals with genetic predispositions, so people who have the genetic markers for type 1 diabetes, these individuals are, there are certain triggers that will cause them to develop the type 1 diabetes, and that's usually triggered by viral infections, environmental factors. Okay, so the immune system, which usually protects the body against harmful substances, instead targets the beta cells. And I'm going to tell you why. So the immune system also releases these antibodies and immune cells that infiltrate the pancreas. And these immune cells attack and destroy the beta cells, which reduces the availability and production of insulin. Okay, so insulin is a hormone that's produced by the beta cells and plays a crucial role in regulating blood sugar levels. Insulin allows cells in the body to uptake the glucose from the bloodstream, helping to lower blood sugar levels. As beta cells are destroyed, insulin production decreases, leading to insulin deficiency. Thank you so much for the badges, Desirable Sweets. Okay, so we already know, now we have it established that it is viral infections, which I'm going to reveal to you which is causing this. Okay, so it's established that it's viral infection that's causing this damage. The beta cells in the pancreas are being killed off. But can the beta cells regenerate? Can the pancreas regenerate? And the answer is yes. The beta cells can regenerate. So the beta cells are responsible for producing the insulin in your body. And in cases of mild damage or loss, the remaining beta cells can reproduce and create more beta cells, and they can overcompensate for the lack of production from the loss of beta cells. But in type 1 diabetes, it's such a huge loss of beta cells that is actually not able to happen. Okay, now there's a cell called alpha cells. There's alpha cells in the pancreas that are responsible for producing this hormone called glucagon. Okay, and glucagon raises blood sugar levels. Now, studies suggest that under certain conditions, alpha cells can undergo a process called transdifferentiation or conversion into beta cells. So, if your beta cells in your pancreas have died and now you have type 1, your alpha cells in your pancreas can undergo a process where they turn into beta cells. Okay? All right, so your alpha cells are going to turn into beta cells, but we're going to explore what happens in that process and what is needed in order for that to happen. All right, so let's see. So most of these studies have been done in laboratory settings. They're doing the studies on animals. They're doing these studies in petri dishes, test tube-like studies. In vitro is what it's called. The studies are in vitro. They are not really translating over into in vivo, but the studies that they're doing in vitro and on animals is proving why this lady went through these changes and reversed her type 1 diabetes on this protocol. Okay, so let's get into it. So transdifferentiation, which is the changing of alpha cells into beta cells, is influenced by epigenetic modifications, which are changes in gene expression patterns without alterations to the underlying DNA. Okay, so you can actually change. So if it's genetic, let's say you have diabetes and it is genetic, you can actually change that. All right. So genetically, those markers were turned on under a certain set of conditions that we're about to get to in just a moment. And under the right conditions, the alpha cells can turn into beta cells and start to produce insulin again. Okay, so let's talk about, let me scroll down in my notes. Now let's talk about what viruses are causing your immune system to attack the cells in your pancreas. We just covered that. It's viruses and environmental factors. So, and then also let's cover this genetic factor right quick too, because this is going to make the person more susceptible to these viruses attacking their beta cells in their pancreas. So, let's see. Specific variants of the HLA genes, which are associated with the immune system, are commonly found in individuals with type 1 diabetes. Let's see, environmental factors that are thought to trigger the autoimmune response in individuals with a genetic predisposition include viral infections, which I'm going to cover the viral infections in a moment, or dietary factors. So if you're feeding your baby too much cow's milk, okay, so early exposure, this is in a research, early exposure to cow's milk or gluten. So normally people would not be allergic to gluten or have a gluten intolerance, but because the wheat crops are so heavily mode, and I'm talking about severe genetic modification where they go into the laboratory and they actually splice the cell and the genes, and they insert gene therapy into the cells to create a different, it looks the same on the outside, but that plant is not the same on the inside, and that causes gluten sensitivities, and people have celiac disease. Now this is different from people who just choose to be gluten-free because of for their weight, or mainly for their weight. That's the only thing that being gluten-free could really help them, because they're not consuming wheat products, which contribute to weight gain. Okay, like bread, starches, pastas, those things would fall into that category. All right, so if you're giving your children this too early, if you're giving them cow's milk, which cow's milk is not made for humans, is made for baby cows, it's made for calves. Just like humans produce breast milk to feed our babies to further their development for the first few years of life, the cow does the same. It produces milk to nourish its babies for the first few years of life, or however long cows nurse their babies for. And other mammals produce milk to feed their babies. It is not for humans to go drinking the cow baby's formula. Okay, so when you give cow's milk to children too early, it can cause different problems with the gut. It can cause the child to also become more addicted to sugar. Okay, more addicted to sugars, carbohydrates, and things like that. When you're giving your child cow's milk too early, it also triggers immune responses because it's not something humans to be consuming. All right. Okay, so let's move on. So let's see. All right, so I covered that. All right, so autoantibodies are produced by the immune system and directed against beta cell antigens, such as insulin or glutamic acid, okay, and can be detected in the blood. So they're detecting these antibodies in your blood, and that's how they know if you're having issues with your kidneys and your beta cells are dying off and you're becoming type 1 diabetic. Okay. All right, I covered that. So let's talk about this autoimmune response that's happening. Enteroviruses, okay? Oh, happy birthday. Enteroviruses can infect pancreatic cells, including beta cells, through the bloodstream or by directly entering the pancreas. The viruses attach to the receptors on the surface of the pancreas cells and replicate within them. Okay, I'm gonna need you to share this with somebody who's got diabetes. All right, it's gonna be so important Very, very important live that we have today. Share this with somebody who has type 1 diabetes to help this person get over the type 1 diabetes and understand what's really going on inside their body so they can reverse it. Okay? All right, so the immune system reacts to viral infection by activating immune cells such as T cells, which play a critical role in coordinating the immune system's response. However, in individuals with a genetic predisposition to type 1 diabetes, the immune response may be dysregulated, and T cells can mistakenly target not only virus cells but also healthy beta cells. Now listen to this. This is because the viral proteins from enteroviruses may have structural similarities to proteins present in beta cells. This is known as molecular mimicry. Okay, and can lead to the immune response where T cells that recognize the viral proteins also target the beta cells due to shared epitopes. Okay, so these viruses that affect young children mostly, okay, which I'm going to start naming some of this stuff in a second, other than enteroviruses, because enterovirus is a class of viruses. So I'm going to go over some enteroviruses for you. But the enterovirus has the same number of epitopes or receptors, and it confuses the immune system to think that it's attacking those viral proteins when it's really attacking the beta cells in the pancreas and killing them off. And remember, the beta cells is what produces your insulin. Okay? All right. So, let's see. So the virus is like purposely mimicking your beta cells. I don't know if that's a decoy or evil genius, because it just seems kind of messed up. Seems really messed up. So I bet you're wondering, how common is enteroviruses? So they are actually quite common. They are very common and are responsible for a significant number of infections worldwide. They belong to the family Picornaviridae, Picornaviridae, and include numerous types of viruses that infect the pancreas and other areas of the body. Enteroviruses can be found across the globe and affect individuals of all age groups and populations. The viruses are typically more prevalent in areas with poor sanitation and poor hygiene practices, which I'm going to tell you about that because I'll tell you when we get there. There was an outbreak where I had moved from a year ago. So enteroviruses can be found, okay, I said that. Entero infections often exhibit seasonal patterns, which peaks occurring, I don't know what I typed there, so let me just tell you. So during tropical climates, so this is going to be around summertime, around the fall, and also places that stay tropical year round, those places will have more prevalent enterovirus infections, okay? So the warm weather is what triggers these enterovirus infections, which causes the killing of the beta cells in the pancreas. Okay, so hand, foot, and mouth disease. How many of us have heard of hand, foot, and mouth disease? Especially the parents, okay? Do we have any parents in here who's heard of hand, foot, mouth disease? In fact, there was an outbreak last year. I'm thinking it was just at my apartment because a bunch of the kids at my apartment caught rashes from head to toe. And I went to the doctor and with one of my children, and they informed me to keep my children away from the other kids because there was a hand, foot, mouth outbreak. So that was an outbreak that was in New Orleans a year ago, hand, foot, and mouth, that was going around. So hand, foot, and mouth disorder is one of the diseases that is causing the killing off of your beta cells in the pancreas, or the killing off of the children's beta cells in their pancreas, which is leading them to having type 1 diabetes. Okay, so that's just one of the viruses. So many enteroinfections are asymptomatic or cause mild self-limiting. Don't require any medical help. Usually you can just get over it on your own. But enterovirus outbreaks can occur, and listen to this, people who have children that's in daycares and schools and stuff like that, especially in settings with close contact such as schools, daycare centers, and community centers. These outbreaks can lead to higher numbers of cases and increased public health concerns. So that was kind of like what we were going through last year in New Orleans, which I never heard any announcement of there being an outbreak and for people to, watch out for their children and things like that. But then again, I don't watch the news. My TV never goes on to a news channel. Okay, so enteroviruses have the potential to infect various organs and tissues, including the pancreas. Okay, it's infecting the pancreas. Here's a few enteroviruses that have been associated with pancreatitis or pancreatic involvement. So that's going to be CVB, which is Cox Coxsackie or Coxsackie virus B. Okay, echovirus and enterovirus 71. Okay, so let me see. So enteroviruses actually include like the common cold and the flu virus and a whole bunch of other viruses that are actually very common. So like common cold can lead to the killing off of the beta cells in the pancreas in your children. You need to know this. All right, especially if type 1 diabetes, if you know type 1 diabetes runs through your family, then you need to definitely watch out for this and handle these situations. Don't let your child's sickness get too bad. Like, take care of it sooner than later. All right, we're back. Take care of it sooner than later. Okay, let's see. So also polioviruses have also been found in the pancreas. So I know poliovirus is pretty much extinct, but there has been like a resurgence of polio cases in America. So poliovirus is back at a very limited extent. Also, there's vaccinations for poliovirus and stuff like that that you could give your children if you're into that type of thing. Okay, so let's talk about alpha cells transdifferentiating into beta cells, and which can fix all of this. So how do the alpha cells transdifferentiate into beta cells? How does it turn into beta cells? What do you have to do? How can you help your beta cells, your alpha cells, turn into beta cells? Okay, so transdifferentiation involves a reprogramming of gene expression with the alpha cells to resemble that of beta cells. This involves changes in the expression of key genes associated with beta cell identity and function, including those involved in insulin production, glucose sensing, and secretion. Successful transdifferentiation requires not only the acquisition of beta cell characteristics, but also the functional capacity to produce and secrete insulin in response to glucose. Okay? So there's a couple factors that's going to be important. It's going to be removal of the ARX. Okay, the ARX is a gene. So the alpha cell specified deletion or suppression of the ARX gene, a transcription factor involved in the development and maintenance of alpha cells. Okay, so this is what helps an alpha cell be an alpha cell. It's the ARX gene. Okay, so once you remove the ARX gene, then the alpha cell will start to behave like a beta cell. Also, modulation of factors, manipulation of factors within the body has also been found to enhance the transdifferentiation process. These factors play critical roles in the development and function of beta cells. So let's go over some of these key important mechanisms that's going to segue us to the main point of how all of this, it's going to tie everything together. Okay, so there's genetic manipulation. Researchers have used genetic engineering techniques to selectively delete or suppress the ARX gene. So they're going in and they're suppressing this gene artificially. Okay, that's how that's one way that the researchers are doing it. We don't have our hands on that. We cannot tap into those mechanisms because we are going about this in a natural, hands-on, DIY from home type of way, right? So the next way is small molecules and transcription factors. So this is small molecules or compounds that can influence the activity of transcription factors have been investigated as potential triggers for ARX removal. For example, certain compounds or growth factors can modulate signaling pathways involved in the regulation of ARX expression. So this is what we can tap into. This is talking about there's certain molecules that in compounds that can influence this type of response in the body to get those alpha cells to turn into beta cells and start producing insulin again and just reverse that type 1 diabetes diagnosis. Okay? So there's several compounds and growth factors that have been studied for their potential to modulate signaling pathways and turn those alphas into betas. The first one is going to be retinoic acid, which you've probably heard of that before if you've heard of like retinol. Okay, so retinoic acid, a derivative of vitamin A, has been investigated for its role in prompting alpha to beta cell transdifferentiation. Okay, retinoic acid signaling has been associated with the suppression of ARX. Okay, and the induction of beta cell regulated genes, facilitating the conversion process. So, in short, retinoic acid is helping to shut off the ARX gene in alpha cells so that they can start to behave like beta cells, to start the process of those alpha cells becoming the beta cells to start producing insulin again. So retinoic acid is a biologically active form of vitamin A. That's what it is. And while it can be obtained from dietary sources, the direct intake of retinoic acid itself is generally limited as it is a potent compound that requires careful regulation, okay? However, there are foods that contain precursor compounds that can be converted into retinoic acid in the body. These precursor compounds include carotenoids, which are pigments found in various fruits and vegetables. So let's name some of these fruits and vegetables that have these compounds that will help your alpha cells turn into beta cells so you can start producing insulin again. I just need a sip of water. Okay, so the first one, we have carrots. Carrots are particularly high in beta carotene, which the body can convert into retinoic acid as needed. Okay, beta carotene. That's what we're going after. We're not going after vitamin A. We're actually going after the beta carotene because beta carotene is the precursor to vitamin A. Beta carotene will convert into as much vitamin A as the body needs, and the rest of the beta carotene will just be discarded. Okay, so that's good to take beta carotene containing supplements, eat beta carotene containing foods, but do not take straight vitamin A supplements. Don't do that. Okay, so another one is going to be sweet potatoes. Y'all can write these down. Sweet potatoes are rich in beta carotene, making them another excellent source of precursor compounds for retinoic acid. Spinach. Okay, spinach contains various carotenoids, including beta carotene, lutein, and zeaxanthin, which can be converted into retinoic acid in the body. Okay, another one is going to be kale. Kale is a nutrient-dense leafy green vegetable that contains a range of carotenoids, including beta carotene. Okay, another one, write this one down too. Winter squash. Okay, but just know this. If you have herpes, summer squash is high in lysine. Okay, winter squash is high in arginine. So try summer squash instead if you have herpes. So varieties of winter squash such as butternut squash and acorn squash are good sources of beta carotene. Now for bell peppers. Bell peppers, red, yellow, orange bell peppers contain carotenoids like beta carotene and are rich in antioxidants. Okay, and the last one on our list is going to be apricots. Apricots are a fruit that contains significant amounts of beta carotene, which can be converted into retinoic acid. Okay, so these are some example foods. All of these foods are high in lysine, low in arginine. So if you have HSV and you're dealing with type 1 diabetes, these are foods that you can eat. But remember I said replace winter squash with summer squash. Okay, and then also the supplements that are on the detox. The supplements are very high in beta carotene, spirulina, chlorella. Very high in beta carotene, which is the precursor to vitamin A, which leads you to producing this retinoic acid that you need to transdifferentiate the alpha cells into B cells so that your pancreas can start to produce insulin again, reversing type 1 diabetes. Okay, so studies have suggested that retinoic acid can influence the process of alpha to beta cell transdifferentiation. Retinoic acid signaling has been associated with the suppression of the ARX gene, which is a key factor. We already read that. Okay, we already know that. I don't think I need to go over any more of that, but there is a lot of intricate details about how retinoic acid all the different ways that retinoic acid shuts off this gene and starts to promote the expression of this gene. And then it converts the alpha cells into the beta cells. So that's the gist of what you need to know about retinoic acid, but it's found in these foods that we are eating on the detox. Now, I posted an updated lysine list in my community, and you'll find these foods on the high lysine list. Okay, so if you go to, let me type it in, Tara's Detox .mn.co, and then you're gonna use a nickname to make your free profile, and use a nickname just in case you want to like comment on something or post something on there, so you can stay anonymous. Don't upload any pictures of yourself. And if you, once you get on there in the announcement section, it's one of the newest posts on there, and it's a high lysine, low arginine food list. And you should definitely take advantage of it, because it will help to reduce your outbreaks. And come to class so I can teach you about the high arginine foods that is causing your outbreaks, if outbreaks is something that you're dealing with, okay? Because you got to learn those too. All right, so we got one more part of this type 1 diabetes that I want to talk about before we get out of here. So this is going to be beta-cellulin. Beta-cellulin is super, super important. It's a growth factor that has demonstrated the ability to enhance transdifferentiation of alpha cells into beta cells. Remember, that is our main goal here. We want to transdifferentiate. We want to convert. We want to change alpha cells into beta cells so that our pancreas begins to work properly again. Okay, so beta-cellulin is a member of the epidermal growth factor. Have you ever heard of growth factors? So in this class, we're talking about type 1 diabetes. And if you go to my bio and you click the link in my bio, it's going to bring you to my link tree, and then go to free detox videos. When you click that, you're going to click on the button that says full body cleanse, and then you're going to watch that whole live stream where I'm talking about type 2 diabetes. Okay, not only am I talking about type 2 diabetes, I'm also talking about kidney disease, I'm talking about weight loss, I'm talking about visceral fat, everything to do with the reason why you have type 2 diabetes. So dive into that one that's in my bio under full body cleanse. And then also register for class tonight, because in class we're going to be talking even more about solutions to these problems. Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so beta-cellulin. Okay, beta-cellulin. Okay, I'm skipping over like the stuff that's too sciencey and kind of boring and getting down to the main idea of it. So beta-cellulin is activated by the pancreatic alpha cells. So the alpha cells activated, delta cells activate beta-cellulin, and stromal cells activate beta-cellulin. Now, beta-cellulin is a defense mechanism. Once your pancreas is stressed, once it has beta cells dying off, once your pancreas experiences inflammation or an infection, then the cells of your pancreas will start to produce beta-cellulin. Okay, so the beta-cellulin is a defense mechanism against the inflammation and against the tissue damage, and it's released to repair the damage. That is the reason why it's released. It's released specifically to start to secrete enzymes that will help you to repair your pancreas. So if you are having pancreatitis, if you have type 1 diabetes, your pancreas is actually releasing these beta cells, this beta-cellulin to produce beta cells, but are you giving it also what it needs to finish the process? So you're going to have to put certain nutrients and compounds in your body to work with the beta-cellulin to reproduce the beta cells in your pancreas. So what are the keys to reversing type 1 diabetes? So first of all, we need to reduce the toxins from food, products, and environmental waste, okay? So toxins from food would be eating too much junk food, all right? So eating chips, crackers, cookies, pies, pastries, popcorn that you buy at the grocery store in the bag. Like, I think it's called Smart popcorn or Smart Choice or something. It's like the popcorn, the really yummy popcorn in like the black bags, and it's like cheddar cheese popcorn or something like that. That stuff is bad for you. It contributes to the problem, okay? It contributes to the toxins in your body. And like in the previous video where we talked about the full body cleanse, if your body is getting in too much toxins, especially toxins of the same kind, your liver will just send it to the visceral fat, okay? And once it's sending it to the visceral fat is not that fluffy, soft stuff that you see on the outside of your stomach, that soft, squishy stuff. Visceral fat is intra-abdominal fat. It's behind the muscle layer. So if you're somebody that works out, you have an active lifestyle, it's much harder to see the effects of visceral fat because it's not on the front side of the muscle. You can have a six-pack and have visceral fat, okay? It's the fat that's behind the muscle. It's going through the organ cavity, and it starts to build up inside the organ. So once your pancreas starts to build up with visceral fat, that's the issue. Once your kidney starts to build up with visceral fat, that's the issue. You can have visceral fat build up in the heart and around the heart. You can have it around in your different organs, and visceral fat excretes hormones that changes the way that your body deals with your blood sugar. It changes the way that your body, the lining of your artery, it changes the lining of your gut, the lining of your stomach. So it leads to like leaky gut and different heart disorders, myocarditis, all kinds of different heart diseases and heart problems, which we named about 82 different diseases caused by the herpes virus, and a ton of them were heart issues that stems from the same kind of process that we're talking about now, even though we're not talking about herpes in particular right at this moment. Okay, so toxins also, not just from those foods, we're also talking about toxins from what you put on your body and what you're exposed to in your home and outside the door. Okay, so toxins would be you putting on your standard lotion, okay, your regular lotion. I'm talking about all forms of toxins, okay? This is the toxins that our body is dealing with. And the combination of all these toxins together makes a problem. So if you're eating lots of bad food, you're putting chemical products on your skin, okay? You also have your cleaning products in your home, which is not only leading to toxicity inside of your body, okay, but it's also leading to asthma, okay? So if you have anybody in your house that's dealing with asthma, your bleach and your ammonia cleaning products are a big problem. It's a big problem. But inhaling it kills your brain cells and a whole bunch of other things. So it is adding to the toxic load inside of your body. That's why in my home, we don't clean with bleach. We don't clean with ammonia. I make my cleaning products, okay? That's what we do. We make the cleaning products, which is so simple, very simple. And everybody who's joining the new boot camp, all of the cleaning products will be included inside of your kit, okay? That's not in the standard kit that's on my site. This is a new kit that's only for the people who's going to be inside of the boot camp. Okay, well, I'm also giving you like your travel size stuff, so like your hand sanitizer, your travel hand oil and stuff like that too. So I'm have a nice kit all prepped up for you, so you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Okay, and then also environmental factors. So that would be like the air quality where you live. Are you having your windows cracked while this big old Mack truck is passing by, letting out all those fumes? Like all of those types of toxins too, that adds to the toxic load inside of your body. And you got to remove that, okay? So removal of excess toxins from the body, especially toxins stored in the visceral fat and cellular waste, which I just covered that. Increase foods that are high in beta carotene. Okay, we're not going for taking vitamin A. You can't just take straight vitamin A because that's not entirely safe for you to do. Especially if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, you should not be taking vitamin A. Okay, you just have to get the natural, just get the beta carotene, which is the precursor to vitamin A. So only what you need is turned into vitamin A, and the rest of it is just discarded. Okay. Okay, so I want you to be aware that if you are consuming foods that are too high in vitamin A, you're taking in too much vitamin A, that can lead to high liver enzymes. So let's say you get on my detox, which is very high in beta carotenes. But then you start doing turmeric everything. You're putting buku turmeric on your food to the point where like your stir fry is orange. Okay, we don't want orange stir fries. You're also using a turmeric soap, and then you're doing turmeric face mask. That right there is going to lead to high liver enzymes, which will cause jaundice. So your eyes will start to yellow, your skin will start to yellow or appear orange, your hands will start to yellow, the inside of your hands will start to turn orange, and it doesn't matter what color you are. This happened to my one of my black clients, who was the first person that brought this to my attention, where I had to figure out why in the world this child was turning orange and she was starting to look like a Oompa Loompa. So I do have the video on what to do if you're experiencing jaundice or high liver enzymes. I do have that video posted. It's on my YouTube and on my Instagram, so you can go and watch it. It's a quick 5-minute video that tells you exactly what to do to reverse that. Okay. All right, so you also need to increase the intake of foods that have a high mineral and nutrient composition. Dark leafy greens are my go-to, okay? But again, if you eat too many and if they aren't prepared properly, if you eat too many dark leafy greens that are prepared improperly, it can lead to health issues, okay? It can cause issues with your kidney and it can cause issues with your thyroid from not properly preparing your dark leafy greens and you're eating a lot, okay? Fruit may contain beta carotene, but not in large enough amounts. That's why that's why you have to supplement with herbs when you go on a raw diet or a fruit diet. You will be malnourished if you do not. So if you go on a raw cleanse, you do raw fruit, or if you do fruit only, or if you just do raw and you're eating a mix of vegetables and fruit, you have to, I forgot, I got a message popped up and I forgot what I was saying in mid-sentence. Let me put on my do not disturb. Okay, there we go. Do not disturb so I don't get distracted. Make sure y'all can hear me. Sometimes it takes the sound to catch, a little time to catch back up. Okay, so raw fruits. If you're eating a raw diet or if you're eating a raw fruit only diet, you have to supplement with herbs because there's not enough nutrition in our fruit. Our fruit is so heavily manipulated. It don't matter what kind of fruit it is, because fruit started being manipulated way back like thousands of years ago. Vegetables started being manipulated way back thousands of years ago. And over time, we continue to adapt by picking out, okay, this one came out in this way and I desire to grow more of this. So I'm going to transplant that into the ground, like cut up off the stem, put it back in the ground, and then I'll grow more of just that variety of fruit or that variety of vegetable. And that's how we created different types of, like for instance, our red apples. How our red apples are perfect. They're red every single time. I'm not gonna talk about the little gases that they spray on the apples to ripen them. We're just gonna pretend they're not doing that. And it's just the apples in the store, they come out red and they're perfect every time. But actual real apples are called crab apples, and they come out different shapes. They come out with slightly different flavors. You never really know what you're gonna get when you pick it off the tree. Okay, so we have been manipulating our food in this way over time for a very long time, and from our recent manipulations of food has severely decreased its nutrient composition, partly because our soil is depleted. In America, our soil is depleted from the minerals because the farming practices from industrialization does not replenish the nutrients. Okay, I remember when I was growing up, and well, I lived there for not too long, so I guess, I don't know. My family's from Louisiana. So out there in the fall, around like school season, when school season would start, they would burn the crops. They would cut down all the sugar cane in the fall, I believe, and then they would set the field on fire and they would burn the crops, and then that would like burn what's left, and that would replenish the soil so that then they can go and plant, I think it was like green onions that they would plant after the sugar cane in this particular field. So that is more of a natural practice of replenishing the soil. So our food still had the nutrients. But because of the way that farming practices are today, heavily industrialized, the soil is not being replenished. So our food is lacking in the amount of nutrients that it used to have. So if you try to do like a raw fruit diet or raw vegetable fruit diet, you have to supplement with herbs. You have to supplement with these green herbs, okay, or these root herbs, okay, in order to have the nutrients that you need because it's lacking. It's lacking. But another reason why it's lacking is because of the way that it's being prepared. For example, spinach, raw spinach only has, I'm going to use this as an example, only about 0.86 grams of protein. But once you cook the spinach, let me tell you what else spinach has. Spinach has anti-nutrients that bind to your iron, bind to your calcium in your body and pulls it out. That's in its raw state. But once you cook the spinach, there are some, first of all, you got to soak it. Soak your greens first, okay? Soak your greens first. And that right there, it's going to cause some depletion of some of the nutrients, but it's going to start to soften up those leaves so those anti-nutrients can come out the leaves, so that once you cook them, the nutrients are introducing heat back to it. It's going to make that vegetable express more of its nutrients and minerals. It's going to bring it out. Okay, it's going to bring it out. So cooking your vegetables does not just get rid of the nutrients. That's what they say on blogs. But when you go to the actual studies, the medical peer review, scientific reviewed studies, case studies, that it is increased. If you cook it, it increases the nutrients and it gets rid of the anti-nutrients. So now your body can actually use all the nutrients that's inside of that food. So if you do this dark leafy green diet, there's no need for herbs. And there's only one supplement that we take. You get all the nutrients, you get all the vitamins, you get all the minerals that you need from a natural source. The natural supplement that we're taking is only spirulina and chlorella. It's a supplement. That's the only thing that we're taking. And people are producing outstanding results, not just for herpes and HPV, but also type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, kidneys, liver, weight loss. Infertility is being reversed. We have women in their 40s who are having babies. Everything is happening just from consuming the dark leafy greens on this detox, prepared in the exact way that I tell you guys you got to prepare it. Okay, make the recipes exactly how they are detailed in the descriptions, because then you will be able to take full advantage of all the benefits of these foods. So what I think you need to do is a temporary lifestyle detox. You need a detox from all toxins in your environment. So we're going to detox from the use on our body. We're going to detox from the snack food and the junk food that we're eating. We're going to detox from negative toxic thoughts. We're going to detox from negative toxic entertainment. We're going to detox from negative toxic people. We're going to totally detox it all. And I know that some people may not be ready for that, and they're like, well, why I don't want to do all of that. Then that's fine. This is not the process for you. But I really want to work with people who want to change their whole life, who are not satisfied with where they are right now, and you want a real change. You want to do something different so that not only your body feels different and feels better, your life on the outside reflects the new you. And all of that can happen inside of the boot camp that we are doing. Right now, we're about to get started in our class, so I'm going to reveal to you everything about the boot camp and talk about more diseases other than type 1 diabetes. We're going to be talking about type 2 diabetes, kidneys, liver, herpes, and HPV, which I've had a lot of success with over the years, and all that good stuff. So you can register for class by either going into my bio, click the link tree, and then go down where it says like free upcoming class. And another way is to text session to my phone number. Text session to 404-737-1371. And we will get you taken care of, squared away. Come to class. It's going to be the best thing that you've done, not just all week, but all year. You're going to learn information that you don't hear other people talking about on repeat. You're going to hear things that other people are not saying. So if you're someone who's like a health junkie like me, and you just go around just want to soak up all the information, you're going to hear some new stuff tonight. Okay? You're going to hear some new stuff that you haven't heard before, especially if you're new to me. So I'm going to see you guys in 6 minutes. We're going to be getting started in 6 minutes. Set the alarm on your phone. Don't forget, if you text me at my phone number, I'm going to send you out a text message just to let you know, hey, class started. That way you can just hit the direct link and get into class. So I'm going to see you guys in a few minutes. Bye, y'all.